are you doing?
Good.
Welcome, and well, thank you for having me. Yeah, it's been quite an honor. It was Wendy's idea to have me come, and yeah, this is really exciting. So I'll just get started on my prepared speech. Okay. November 6th, 1992 was one of the most important days of my life. Perhaps even the most important. I will never forget it. I had only been at LHU for 3 months. On that particular day, I was sitting in my parents' van in front of North Hall and announced that there was something I needed to tell them. I remember the concern registering on their faces, so I quickly added, it has to do with my sexuality. A couple weeks prior to the conversation, I'd been catching up with them on the phone when the subject of my birthday came up, and I told them the only thing that matters to me is that you love me no matter what. They both agreed, yet were clearly worried for me given my seemingly ominous request. So there I was on November 6th, sitting in their van about to drop the truth bomb on them. I told them I'm gay. Both my mom and my dad paused for a second. My mom, who was sitting right there, exhaled with relief and said, oh, thank God, I thought you were telling us you had cancer or something. Oh. My dad grinned. He grinned at me and he said, is that it? I've known that since you were 4 years old. He also elaborated, I've been researching this for a while, and I feel you were born this way. It must be genetic. Why would someone choose this? I don't believe anyone just decides this. Now, any gay child, but especially one who grew up in a small town, much less back in 1992, would be thrilled by their parents having such a positive reaction to coming out. I was very fortunate. Earlier that semester, something happened that I hadn't shared with my folks. I received a series of harassing phone calls in my room at North Hall. The content of these voicemails were upsetting and specifically targeted me. As a result, I was scared and hurt and now hyper aware of my surroundings. I remember thinking, why would someone do this to me? I was so sheltered by my loving parents, and I was very sensitive and naive. I made the decision to keep to myself and maintain a low profile as possible. Little did I know the support would wind up receiving from Wendy Walsh, my resident director, who I like to refer to as my dorm mom. When I shared the story of my harassment with her, Wendy was so accepting, comforting, loving, and downright pissed at the bullying. She quickly took action and became my own personal Wonder Woman. The calls instantly stopped, and she had the perpetrator shaking in his boots. He was given a warning, put on probation, and nearly expelled from LHU. I was very happy with the outcome. I didn't want his life ruined because of his poor choices. Standing here today, I'm hoping that wherever he is now, he's become a more compassionate person. I joined the LGBSL at the time, which stood for the Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual Student League, which was very new at the time. Notice the missing Q and T. That would come later. I found others on campus who were like me and could understand what I was going through, even though our meetings were held off campus and very private. What an amazing feeling to be able to share my struggles and experiences with them. A few months later, the staff at North Hall hosted a straight talk. This was a panel discussion where gay students from Penn State educated straight students about being gay and answered all their questions. The event ironically took place in the TV lounge of North Hall. I wasn't on the panel that night, but just an attendee. But I found myself so inspired by the dialogue that I wound up publicly coming out that night. I stood in the audience and shared my truth. As scary as it was, I felt vindicated, and I could finally be myself on campus. No more keeping a low profile. Unfortunately, my decision to not hide who I am did not sit well with us some. A handful of other students living at North Hall chose to showcase their upset by complaining to Wendy and my RA Brian, who's sitting here right here, who surprised me today by showing up. I was told that one student even quoted Bible verses and expressed how they did not want me living next to them. Wendy handled the complaints and accompanying attitudes with her usual strength and grace. Despite these outbursts from my neighbors, I still viewed publicly coming out at the Straight Talk panel as a huge personal victory. Throughout my years at LHU, I encountered many more people who supported me. One of my strongest advocates was the now late Dr. Sandra Heipels. She influenced me greatly, and I learned so much from her about mass communication and life. In 1995, Dr. Heipels asked me to help her create a LGBT film studies class. What an honor that was for me, and what a progressive step for the college to take where its curriculum was concerned. Some of the films shown in class were from my own personal collection, such as the newly released classic The Birdcage and the HBO documentary The Celluloid Closet, which some of you, by the way, may not be familiar with, but it's a must-see. After 5 years, that's 10 semesters plus a summer session, which I like to call the Summer of Love. More about that in a minute. I graduated from Lock Haven University with a Bachelor of Arts in Broadcast Journalism and Mass Communication. I could never be described as a great student, but I always did my best and found inspiration in the many people who were cheering me on. I was and remain very proud of myself for completing my college education. There have been so many times I didn't think I was going to reach the finish line, but then I did. Now, let me tell you about the Summer of Love, which was my last semester at LHU. It was 1996. I had to take 2 more classes before I could pick up my diploma and move on with my life. The Summer of Love does not refer to a fling or a traditional love story. It was a period of time when I subletted a room from my friend Noelle, who's sitting right here. She'd been renting a house in South Fairview Street, and her roommates had left for the summer. I first met Noelle in the fall of 1993 at Bentley Hall, as I was making inappropriate food designs with my mozzarella sticks. We instantly clicked. While living together that summer, we got into countless hilarious escapades. We never missed weekly karaoke at TJ's Sports Bar, where straight girls would crush on me as I sang Summer Nights from Greece. Noelle would run into those girls in the bathroom and not have the heart to tell them that I like boys. Speaking of boys, Noelle and I even had a crush on the same guy, a fellow student working on campus. Only we couldn't determine if he was gay or straight. So we would individually bump into him on purpose and outrageously flirt. Spoiler alert, he resisted both of our advances. Noelle and I were literally Will and Grace before Will and Grace, but the broke college kids version. I joke with her that we're still waiting for our residual checks. We've now been the best of friends for 26 years, and the Summer of Love became the love and friendship of a lifetime. We have always and will continue to support each other in every area of life. And it all started on this very campus. And yes, even in our 40s, we are still engaging in shenanigans all around New York City and New Jersey. As I tell you these stories, my hope is that you have surrounded yourselves with people who love and accept you for who you are. Make every effort to stay connected to your friends, professors, and staff you've connected with at LHU. It's easy to lose touch, and will be especially challenging as you head in different directions. By making an earnest effort to maintain a place in each other's lives, you'll never be without a support system. I encourage you to laugh as much as possible and pursue what truly makes you happy. Don't ever mentally place limitations on yourself. Always tell yourself that you can do anything. Looking back on being a student here, I had no idea where life would wind up taking me. My path, like me, was not straight. I have been scared and uncertain on many occasions. That's life. But I always find comfort in how cherished I am by my family and friends. Being successful is all relative. I take great pride in what I have personally accomplished. Even though I majored in journalism, my true passion was acting. At LHU, I took the opportunity to gain experience in the theater department, which ended up being my minor. Due to my theater experience at LHU, after graduation, I moved to Pittsburgh, and my acting career began to take off through regional theater. From there, I moved to New York. I found myself wanting to learn more, so I enrolled in a stand-up comedy class. Who knew they had classes to teach us how to be funny? So then I was performing around the city at comedy clubs. I would never have imagined myself being a comedian years back at Lock Haven. Just to show you that your education can take you anywhere. Don't ever compare yourself to others or allow their own successes to define you. You should only focus on being in competition with yourself. And make sure that competition with yourself is a friendly one. Be kind to yourself. Always be kind to others, but never forget to be kind to yourself. Congratulations to all of you on your college graduation. Before I sit down, I want to express my gratitude. Thank you to my mom, who made the trip from Gailton to share this special night with me. She's sitting here in the audience. She has always been and continues to be my biggest fan. Thank you to the university for hosting me and my family and friends. It was my honor to speak with you tonight. Finally, a very special thank you to the indomitable Wendy Walsh for inviting me and organizing all the details related to my visit. And thank you, Brian, for being here. It was a huge surprise. I was totally, It feels so great to be back at LHU. The campus may have changed, and Wendy may have retired. However, the level of support shown to me by Wendy and the university has remained the same. Thank you so much.